And my biggest strategic mistake, I'm going to be pretty pretty quick with this, is that back in about 2016-ish, about 10 years ago, I was a very novice investor. And essentially, I was thinking that stocks were like a poker hand, where you have an ace, king, queen of the same suit. You're going to get a royal flush or whatever. Market doesn't work that way with diversification. So let me let me give you an example. So back in 2015, 2016, long time ago, um, back in my home country, Canada, marijuana was legal, and America.
Are you a dirty immigrant? Just
I'm not gonna touch that. I'm not gonna touch that with a 10-foot pole.
I'm sorry. Sorry. I had to throw that in
My
there.
God. Okay. Let's back up here. But but back this is about 2015, 2016, when USA was looking to decriminalize, or many states were looking to decriminalize and legalize marijuana. I was thinking that look, this is perfect. You know what I mean? It's like prohibition coming back. Everybody's going to buy it, etc. Bought Tilray, a whole bunch of stocks, and literally lost nearly everything, 90%. So, what was my mistake with that? Big mistake was one.
First of all, how much of your portfolio was that?
Yeah, great question. It was about good 20% of my portfolio. So,
And you had a 90% loss on that 20% roughly.
correct.
Over what time period? Like buy, sell dates.
Oh yeah,
6
yeah.
months,
We're talking
1 year,
about
5 years, 10 years.
no. Oh no, this all happened within a year.
Okay.
This all happened within a year. Went up like this. Went up in smoke. No pun intended. No pun intended. And yeah, that was a huge mistake for me because I was all in one industry. It was a fad industry, and I was going with historical precedents on I don't even know what my
Also a
thinking was.
little bit like controversial, I guess you could say. Like
Yeah,
me personally, if anyone asked me to vote, I would say no, I don't want it legalized. There's a lot of people that are like me that don't want it legalized.
yeah, and that's the thing. I was thinking that it was going to become like a commodity that was, you know, risque, and people wanted to do it, and you could charge any price. The problem is all these shops started coming up, right? Nothing crazy, you know what I mean? Nothing crazy. It wasn't a fad, in fact, because it was legalized. So, and that was
It wasn't
that
cool
was
anymore.
pardon me.
It wasn't cool anymore.
It wasn't cool anymore. No. In fact, yeah. In fact, when I was investing, I figured it was cool that it was becoming it, and all these companies would grow, but it oversaturated the market, oversaturated the stocks, and it wasn't that big anymore. I guess because let's admit it, people were doing it probably before, and
Okay. Yeah.
people were doing it before. So it was a huge mistake on me, and that really probably got me into the more conservative routes of diversification, making sure not to have too much in one sector, and not going. You can go with the crowds and a little bit in terms of momentum. They call that momentum investing, right? Okay, so for example, momentum investing is like when silver went way up in January. There was a momentum of that going up. Momentum investing is what's another one? Like when
GameStop.
Marvel. What's that?
GameStop. GameStop.
Yeah, GameStop, Marvel. You know, what I mean, the crowd is going
Oh,
in. And by the way, I think Dylan and I didn't really expect to talk about this, but that is a legitimate form of investing that I don't know, Dylan. Do you do any
well,
of
I
that?
would call it trading, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, trading about, yeah, but is that something that you ever looked into or ever done? I personally looked into it. I've never done it.
Yes, I have done it. It's a lot more work than investing, in my opinion, because it's time sensitive and it's like a job. I mean, it's you look at people who are successful, they need to have small. You're talking about just day trading period or just momentum trading in general?
Momentum trading. So for example, you're riding. So for example, you see something with GameStop, you know that it's not a good stock, but you're riding the wave to make money. That's what essentially what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've done that. Not really. I would say you don't really have a huge advantage to know when the market's going to turn. So, I mean, you can position size, you can, have different rules and like soft, like stop loss, and you can have exit price, and that can kind of give you a 5-to-1 advantage. And it doesn't really, to me at least, I don't really have an edge. I don't feel like I really have an edge or an advantage. So I'm just like in there jostling with the elbows, trying to get whatever everyone's gonna get. I don't think I'm really gonna like get ahead, as opposed to what I'm doing now, which is deep analysis, which no one wants to do. 99% of people don't want to, spend a day researching what they put their money into for whatever reason. It makes no sense to me, but so I'm able to get an advantage on that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's something I've looked into, but like you say, it's a lot of work to see when the next trend is going. Which, by the way, brings us up some news. We just got news. Who knows if it's true? Between Pakistan, U.S., Pakistan, U.S., and Iran are saying that have come to a peace agreement. Now, the
Let's
guy in
see the
office,
details. Let's see if it lasts a week.
the guy, the man in, we're not going to go there, but the man in office isn't exactly the most truthful cat.
And he's also not like steady Eddie, he's a little like he's in a good mood on Monday, but Tuesday, it's not, everything's kind of changed.
Yeah, yeah. And some people say that's by design, some people don't. We're not there to touch that. But let's just say this, the market seems to be very pleased. Well, the futures, let me rephrase that. We're on Sunday, the 14th, June. The futures seem to be very, very pleased with that. So that was actually, I think Dylan and I talked about this off camera. That was a catalyst event. We both said that.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Again, this is a likely going to happen, likely to move the market. I wouldn't, I wouldn't buy options on it, but any way you can make money with, a little bump, it was fairly predictable.
Right.
Also,
Now,
the bad news in the next week with P3D falling out is also very likely predictable.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is that and like I said, throughout this channel, we like to put our necks out and try to predict things, predict catalyst events, etc. And
Yeah, well, I'm predicting right now on camera that there will be some bad news that comes out in the next near future, and the stock market will react accordingly. But I don't know exactly what that'll be, but likely Israel bombing somebody they shouldn't have bombed, or Trump getting mad at Iran for something or something like that.
yeah, and that could switch the market or a tweet or
Likely.
whatever. So always, I think, especially if you're a trader, or somebody who follows the news, is news trading, you're gonna have to, be up to snuff on that for sure. Because the volatility, that's what it is. Volatility is can get pretty high. I did want to mention another stock that I did.
Before we go there, did you fully cover your loss? Did you discuss what you learned and what
Yeah,
you
yeah,
like? If
yeah.
you went back in time, what would you do differently? Not that you knew exactly where the stock price was going to go, but what would your
Uh,
operating way? How would you approach that?
the operating way would be to be a little bit more cautious with a brand new industry that
And would you just
is
do a
mark.
smaller position?
Yeah, and I guess I could have done a smaller position. I do a smaller position. I would be more cautious with an industry which is risque, I guess, for lack of a better word. That doesn't have a history of a track record. It's very difficult to kind of
Model out.
model out. I mean, nobody could have really modeled it out. I mean, obviously they have one product or whatever, right? And like, what's the demand? How much underground demand was there during that time when it was legalized?
Is that underground gone? Are people
Yeah,
gonna
is that
come
underground gone?
back and make it? Like who knows?
Are the dealers just going to continue to undercut the other things? So it was too complicated a market and too unknown for me to really know what was going on.
Like a
So
1% position portfolio, it sounds like would be the safest,
yeah,
that kind of
exactly.
thing.
So I put in a higher percentage, um, and I was what do you call it? A mentor of mine was kind of pointing me in that direction. Made sense to me at that time, but at that time I was a very novice investor. I'd only been investing for about a year or 2 years, and that was a big mistake. And what would I do different? Yeah, I would wouldn't get into a risque industry. I would not do investing like a royal flush, a poker hand, or a hand of poker. You know what I mean? Because I was picking. Let me be a little bit more specific. I was picking like different marijuana stocks based on, Tilray was a big one, and then having a small one in the out west, and then having another one out east, etc. And I was just kind of building my, I guess for lack of a word, like what do they call it? The word I'm looking for is like make franchise. Sorry, franchise. Like a different franchises of franchise Northwest, franchise Northeast. You know what I mean? Franchise South, and that was a mistake. Yep, that was definitely a big mistake.
Nice. Okay, cool. Cover that. What were you gonna change over
Yeah, yeah.
to?
I was going to change it to very exciting. Again, if you want to drill me more on that, I can. You know what I mean? I don't know.
No, I think it's good. I think you brought up good points and something that you learn and do in the future now. I think that's a good
Thank you,
lesson.
Bill. Thank you. So yeah, I did want it. Very exciting, very very exciting because the biggest IPO, biggest now I think it's the fourth or fifth biggest company already, and they just launched their IPO. SpaceX,
Monopoly on
Elon,
space, right?
yeah, up in space. Right, Elon Musk has now gone public. So original IPO price was 135, but from my understanding, they had a little bit of hiccups in it, and you weren't really going to trade it until it hit about the 150 range. It got all the way up, I think, in the 170-ish range, and then dropped back down to about 160s, so 160-ish. So there's a little bit of volatility. Now, I will tell you this, that you
Wait,
cannot
Elon's company is volatile?
and it may get even more volatile because I'll tell you
Yeah.
this much.
Compared to Tesla, it's probably going to be like up 50%, down 50%.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing that a lot of people aren't thinking of. You can't short the stock until Tuesday. Tuesday is when you can officially short the stock. So that could put more that could put
Huh.
more
Wow, I didn't
volatility.
know there's like a 2-day pause, two trading day pause or something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think it's Tuesday. You could do it. So that's going to cause even more volatility.
Have you
And
looked at seeing if it's available on your broker for shorting? Like, can you see?
I haven't, but I haven't. Not, I mean,
I like to see that myself because I'll like keep an eye, like with Summit Therapeutics, for example. I'll look and see how many shares available to short on Interactive Brokers because they tell you that Interactive Brokers, they're a very like trading focused platform, and like I use that combined with the overall numbers that get reported every 2 weeks, and I look at that and I kind of get an idea like does this line up? Let's say it's 800,000 last week and now it's 900,000. I look at the short numbers and it's lightening up on Summit. Then I'm like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. If it's the opposite picture, then I start to kind of dig into it a little bit. So I like to
yeah,
use additional.
yeah, they haven't even. Well, here's the crazy thing, and this is why a lot of people think this stock can go up, is that it's still the index funds haven't been able to buy into it yet, and they haven't bought into it yet, which is going to cause more demand for it to go in. So like the Nasdaq, the the pension funds, whatever funds you want are gonna start to buy in it, driving the price up. Now, consequently, this I think I'm gonna stick my neck out there. I think it's gonna be volatile until their earnings report. I think, and don't quote me on this, it's gonna be August sometime, probably August 5th or whatever. So you're not gonna have any financials at all. You know what I mean? So again, this is the biggest IPO of all time, and the last like really, really, really big IPO that had this much hype was Facebook, in my opinion. Maybe Alibaba potentially, but uh, mostly, I mean, well, maybe I'll let you know. Dylan, can you think of an IPO over the last say 10 years, which is come close to SpaceX?
I don't think
I know I'm
so.
putting you on the spot, but
Yeah, no, I don't think so. It's been like drummed up more than like I don't even care about Facebook and I see it everywhere. I'm like, I don't care about this company. Get out of my face. So I can imagine everyone in the whole world is, or at least the investing world, globally is seeing this company in the headlines, and I don't give a shit. I'm not buying it, but I'm sure plenty of people are looking at it and buying it and doing something with it.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And so yeah, I mean, for me, I am an owner of SpaceX now
You got
officially.
in right at the open. What's your entry price?
Entry price is 168. 168.
Hmm. Okay.
168 entry price. So there you go. Let's see what it goes up to or down to. But 168 entry point.
Is a small
I
position, like 1% of your portfolio or something?
a little bit more, about 2 to 3% of
Thought
it.
you just mentioned the unknown markets you were going to do smaller. The lesson you
No,
learned.
this is no. Well, no, hold on a second. Is not an unknown market because he's been doing this.
It's
He's been
true.
doing this
That's
for
been
20
operating
years.
for a while.
He's been doing this for 20 years. He's been
Yeah,
doing this for 20
2008, I
years, and
think,
he's got
first
it
look.
down pat. He's got a monopoly. Actually, what am I saying? He's got
Totally different than the marijuana because he's got a monopoly. He's just 20 years, well, I think 18 years of successful launches. Or is it actually, I think it's 17. I think it's successful launches like 2009 or 2008.
I think 9. I don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I think nine might have been lower Earth orbit, the 61 miles or whatever.
Mhm.
I believe that was either nine or late 2008.
Yeah, so I
He's
think
been
it's
doing it for a
exciting.
while, or late, or maybe not him. I don't know if he's even involved, but at least his scientists he hired for the SpaceX.
Yeah, I still think it's a screaming buy at these prices. If I were to put my neck out and say a price target, and by end of year, which is like 6 months, I'd say $250, roughly. Again, just rough.
Oh,
I will have to though, but that's just throwing it out in whatever. Because I don't really have I want to
so
see their first earnings. I really want to see their first earnings to really see how profitable, you know what I mean, what things are looking at. Now there are rumors out there that in the future, SpaceX could launch with Tesla. I don't like that personally. I'm I'm not really. I don't think the electric car thing. I think BMD is eating their lunch for electric cars, the Chinese company. Um, so I mean, I
labor.
don't
Cheap labor.
cheap labor, cheaper cars. Yeah, cheap labor, cheaper car, and they're not junk cars. They're like good cars. You
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I've heard some good things about them. But one thing that always well, the foreign car is cheaper than the American car. It's like, yeah, well, you pay your guys like $5 an hour, and you pay the American $30 an hour. Like, what do you think? Like, they're gonna like make less money, less profit margin in the U.S. Like, it's a little bit like, unless the U.S. can really heavily go into robotics, which I think it's working on, then I don't think it's going to be competitive with a made in Mexico or made in China or made in Vietnam car. You
Mhm.
know.
Now, oh, by the way, there's and I'm sprinkling some dust here. There's going to be Anthropic IPO coming and OpenAI. That was it. OpenAI and Anthropic are two other very big IPOs that will
Yes.
probably be coming during the winter. Personally, just from right now, I'm more into the SpaceX IPO just because Elon. They say company founders, actually, this is very, very interesting. They say company founders of companies, those and their IPOs tend to do like 50 to 60% better. So I'm talking about your Bezos, I'm talking about your Elon Musk. They tend to do better. Why? Well, he's got his own skin in the game. He's willing to do everything he can. This is
Really
his
take more
baby.
risk, obviously. I mean, there's a ton of history. Like, name a good company that didn't have a founder led, you know what I mean? Like Apple, fucking Microsoft, fucking Facebook, even smaller companies, back in the day, like Texas Instruments and whatever, other companies that were founder led and all that, that were, I don't know specifically in that example, but other stocks that really did well that were very likely founder led. The Rockefeller fucking oil,
Yeah, and that's what I mean.
years
Founder
ago.
led. I'm very much into founder led. Now, Elon is a little bit out there and he's very ambitious. Like, in fact, too ambitious because
Not his
look,
biggest fan. Yeah, yeah. Though obviously the guy's done a lot of good things. He's made a bunch of money. He's done or hired people that have done, amazing things.
and like I was saying, Elon shoots for Mars, and then if you hit like lower, if you hit the moon, that's still
That's
pretty
great.
good. You know what
Yeah,
I
I
mean?
know. That
That's
was the
still
last guy that made it to the moon, like
yeah.
it's
Well,
pretty impressive.
yeah, and that's another thing. I think the stock will pop major in 2027 or 2028 when they do the moon landing. Assuming the stock still exists, it could. I don't think it'll go bankrupt, but I mean, it could end up merging with Tesla. I don't know if I mentioned that. So there's
Yes,
another
you did.
possibility. Yeah, there's a possibility. Actually, no, I didn't mention that. I don't think I mentioned that on here.
You
There is a
mentioned it. You mentioned
possibility.
about the birds and whatever, like the BYD was competing with Tesla, and you weren't a big fan of Tesla. Yeah, you just mentioned it earlier.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But did I say they were going to merge potentially?
You said they're potentially merged, and I'm not a
Oh,
fan of that.
okay,
Yes.
perfect, perfect. So yeah, I did mention that. So that is something I personally, and I'll give my opinion on, that's personally something I would not want. I want the company split.
Yeah,
Why?
I agree.
Yeah, yeah. Why? Because I think I don't think Tesla makes the best electric cars, and I also think that they're a little bit expensive. You know what I mean? They're a certain market,
Yes.
and I know that I think what they should really go into is the robotics and the self-driving programming, and I think that's taking up more of a market share, but it's not profitable. The cars are the profit that keeps up the part of the company. They just need to figure out a way to have those programs become profitable, self-driving cars, etc. So I do think that that is the future for sure. With that being said, Dylan, we have about 6 minutes. Is that enough time for you to go after the ACTU or no?
I could touch on it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know much
touch on it.
about it, but I'm
You have
yeah.
the floor.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just a company I've been looking into recently. I'm digging into biotech all the time. And there's one that's very binary that's very interesting. The stock was, opened at 2 on Friday, went all the way up almost to 3, and then closed back at 2.
Hmm.
Because they have FDA news that's coming soon, and they also are out of money, I think, either this month or next month. And they're working on some interesting stuff. Pancreatic cancer. It has some good numbers that we're reporting in terms of they're doubling the life expectancy or doubling the people that are alive after pancreatic cancer. And this is metastatic, meaning multiple organs, not just the pancreas. Metastatic pancreatic cancer, which is what Steve Jobs died from, and um, it's a pretty rough cancer. I mean, I think Steve Jobs ended up getting a pancreas transplant, Um, but yeah, it's pretty rough cancer. A lot of them die. Even in their trials, the people that they got to live longer, most of them died, just to be honest. I mean, their trials been going on for like I think 4 years. The majority of the people that get pancreatic cancer metastatic are dead in 5 years. It's like it's 90+%. So um it's a pretty tough cancer to go after, and they had I mean, it's not amazing numbers. It's sort of like an incremental step, not as impressive as Biomea, for example, in the diabetes space, but they did. So like I think it was 30% were dead within a year, and they got it up to like 15% dead in a year or something like that. So like it's still having a decent amount of people dying with their drug. It's not like it's most amazing. But if you're in the FDA's position and the current standard of care is pretty weak, considering that success rate. I mean, like, I mean, like at that point, it's like I'll go anywhere. I'll do
You
the
gotta
holy
start
roll.
somewhere.
I'll
You
do
have to
the
start somewhere, right?
yeah, you have to start somewhere, and it's at least it's a step in the right direction. Um, but there's probably a lot of improvement that can be done. But so I'm thinking, okay, cool. Like, what's um, the pancreatic cancer is not a huge market. Like there's like I think it's like 20,000 cases per year, metastatic pancreatic cancer in the US. Cancer treatments, you can charge more money, maybe you charge 100 grand per year and for this treatment, stuff like that. But still, it's like trying to build in the value. And the company is pretty cheap, market cap of about 50 million. So I'm still digging into it to see if are they going to have to fund money? Are they? But it's a very like sort of either it's going to do really well or it's going to fail miserably. So just sort of interesting one that I'm looking into. That's I mean, I obviously anyone who cares about people not dying from cancer would want to see these guys succeed if they're actually those numbers hold up and they're actually able to get people to live more people live for at least a year with metastatic. That's I mean, what would you do if you had pancreatic cancer? Just take the whatever that gives you like a 30% chance of being dead a year, or taking one that gives you 50% chance of being dead a year. Like everyone's gonna go that way, obviously. It's like, yeah, I wanna more likely live. So that's the cool thing about biotechs is they're easy to get behind and support, not like the weed. And I would be very against that. But people dying from cancer, most people can agree that that's a good thing. People shouldn't die from cancer. Most people get behind supporting people better treatments for cancer and various other conditions. So
Sure.
yeah,
And we got about 2 minutes here, so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Do
sure.
you know anything about the CEO or the CEO of the company
Haven't gotten to that.
or insider ownership?
I know they're not selling, and there's a small amount of buying. Uh, I don't know much. I haven't gotten to the CEO in terms of what he's done. I read his bio quickly on the website, but I like to dig in a little bit more. I'm not. I'm a little bit of a skeptical guy, so if I see their bio, I'm like, well, okay, let me confirm that somewhere else. Let me like dig into this and make sure it's not just like a made up bio here, you know?
Okay, and then you did go over their cash position.
Very, very critical. Yes,
Okay, okay, perfect,
like
perfect.
this month potentially out of cash.
Oh, okay.
Like,
So I
like,
can
yeah,
see why.
yeah, like,
Yeah,
I mean, like,
yeah.
they're not like trading at 20 cents and they're trying to like gonna do likely do a reverse split. They do have $2, so they can potentially issue more shares, drop down to $1, and still be, able to trade on the Nasdaq. But not like they're like at 50 cents and they're running out of cash this month. That would be a little more like, a little too risky for me. I don't think I'll pass.
I got you.
It's a little more breathing room because they're at $2 right now.
Perfect, perfect. That makes sense. Well, you know what? Next week, folks, we still got about okay, got 1 minute. We're gonna do a little teaser. We've both done our biggest mistakes. We're gonna do our most biggest success next week, unless there's some type of news coming out. Personally, I will stick my neck out and say I do think SpaceX is something that will be a generational type stock. Um, Again, I gave you the price target or whatever of about 240-ish by the end of the year. We'll see what happens. In terms of that, I don't think I have anything else to add. You got a little less than a minute, Dylan. Do you have anything else to add other than anything?
Um,
About 20 seconds.
yeah, no, I mean, I differ on SpaceX. I do see like the advantages in terms of like I think it's a little expensive right now. Again, I mean, I guess you could, and I think that for the risk, if it was coming out really like inexpensive, then I'd be a little more interested in it because of that monopoly. I don't know if that monopoly is going to hold over the long